ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. So we're on to party 25th in our monthly exploration of Japji Sahib, and I have to share something with you about what I felt when I was reading it and trying to see what different scholars have said about it. The last party was about Antana Sifti Kanand, that there is the praises of Akal Purakh. I mean, they are infinite. There is no end to how much we can praise that amazing reality. And then in this party, Guruji focuses on one aspect of that amazing reality, the doer, the creative force. And I was thinking that what this does for me on a monthly basis, looking at the parties, is it holds up a mirror to me as to how far away I am in terms of the goal that has been set for us by Guruji, which is to realize our full divinity. It just totally opens my eyes to my own shortcomings and how far I need to go to become like Vaheguru, which is what Babaji wants us to do. And it holds up a mirror to my soul, Bani. It holds up a mirror to me that, wow, you are like this, hum aise tu aisa, this body particularly did that for me. Hum aise tu aisa, your karam, you the great doer, you the great creator, this is what you do, and this is how I am, and how much work I need to do on myself. This was the feeling that I was left with when I reflected upon this party. Karam, our life and this world is a field of action where we are placed to do karam. And based on what we do, Gurbani tells us over and over again that what you reap is what you sow. And all other scriptures also tell you the same, that what you reap is what you sow. You sow weeds, don't be surprised, you're going to get thorns, right? You're going to get stuff you don't like. And in this party, Guruji is talking about the karam, the actions of Akal Purakh.
Karam has a second meaning.
Yes, I was going to come to that. I was going to come to that. So I'm just going to tell you what I felt, right? And there are the beauty about great literature. This is spiritual literature. The beauty about great literature in any language, in any form, is how heavily nuanced the words are. And the interpretation is so dense, and it has layers and layers of meanings. So we can start with the karam, the actions, and then look at what those karams are. And when those actions and when those karams are unconditional and there is no expectation of return, then they become grace. Then karam, in terms of action, becomes karam as grace, as Viji was just pointing out. So let's look at it as first, what does Akal Purakh do? And where are we? Look at the chasm that divides us. And how many lifetimes it will take for us to evolve to our own divinity, to that spark that shines within us. How long will it take to glow, as radiantly as we are expected to do? That's the goal of our life, right? How are we going to meet that energy, that force, if we are so far away and so short in our qualities, and it's only through grace. So bata karam likhya na jaye, vadda data tilda tamai. The karam, the actions, the giving aspect of that Akal Purakh, that great giver, gives so much and endlessly. This aspect of the creative force as the giver has been referred to in Japji Sahib before. Oh, enna denda hai, oh data enna denda hai, oh da dena endless hai. We will our breaths will come to an end, our lifespan will come to an end, but the giving of Akal Purakh will not. As humans, how much are we able to give? Whenever we give, there is an expectation of return. No matter what we do, there is an account going on in the back of our heads, and if that reciprocation is not there, we are turned off. Whether it is gifts, whether it is invitations, whether it is charity, even charity, my name on a plaque, or I'm going to get some bonus afterwards, or doing something great because of the 72 or whatever virgins in heaven, whatever the lalach that is tagged on to giving, that's what propels us. But this amazing creative force gives without any lalach. Vadda data til na tamai. Tamai is that lalach, that expectation of getting back. This force doesn't count. This force doesn't keep an account. This force gives and gives and gives. And look at us. I think for me, this line was like that pause where I'm like, wow, what do I need to, where do I need to go and become where I give unconditionally? They say that the biggest or the most amazing love that is there in this world is a mother's unconditional love. But even there is this expectation कि शायद वड्डा हो जाऊंगी, मैं बुद्धि हो जाऊंगी, मेरा ख्याल रखेगा बच्चा, Even there is disappointment. But this mother of all children just gives endlessly to those that are absolutely useless, to those that are ungrateful, to those that are corrupt, to those that are mean, and there is no condition. And how much are we able to give? Giving is an aspect of divinity, and giving, because that giving is unconditional and endless and without any expectation or lalach or greed, that is grace. That becomes grace. That is Vaheguru's grace. So Vaheguru's karam are really Vaheguru's grace, because there is no end to it, there is no qualification to it. Kete mange jodapar. And to this force that is the greatest giver, everybody goes, even those that are very powerful, very have a lot of strength, those who are great warriors in any sphere, whether they are warriors in the battlefield or warriors, they are wrestlers or spiritual warriors, everybody goes to this force and begs for grace. Today there is this big wrestling match. The body, no matter how great it is, it takes a second for it to, one little stroke and there's nothing left. There's no power left in the body. There's nothing left of the mind. Dementia sets in and it's all over. So everybody goes on their knees and begs for gifts of continued blessings. Gurbani says that Vaheguruji has given us this nose, these eyes, these hands, right? Those are gifts when they're functioning well, and we take them for granted at that time. I was talking to my sister in LA, and she has rheumatoid arthritis and she's on these heavy duty drugs, and all desires to travel, to look beautiful, to buy things, all of those are gone. All that she's seeking now is health. Something she takes for granted, or she took for granted, something we all take for granted when we are healthy. When we are young, we think we are invulnerable. So even the most powerful, the healthiest, the strongest of people, the Jodhas, go to this dwar, to this force, to this energy, to ask for more. Kete mange jodapar, ketya ganat nahi vichar. There is no end. The great giver doesn't hold back, we keep going to him. Kete ganat nahi vichar. And there are those that try to contemplate the numerous, the infinite amount of these gifts, but there is no contemplation that is enough. There is no number that you can put to it. There's no quantity that you can put to it. Ketya ganat nahi vichar. Kete khap tute vekar. And then there are those of us who will receive those gifts, and we will get embroiled in the consumerism of it and get corrupted and get wasted away. And one day we will wake up and see, where has life gone? What happened? We're going to leave these things. You know, the greatest lesson I got about consumerism was when my mother-in-law passed away and I had to give away her things. And she wasn't even a big model of consumerism. Not like many of us, not like me certainly. And it was like, wow, this is what is left? And we get all so caught up. We are just so caught up in our own desire for more, and many dwell in corruption. And they resort to greed to get more, and lust, and all these things that what is wrong with the 5 Vichaars, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar? What is it? I mean, we want more of that, and we get embroiled in that, and that's where the corruption of the soul, the mind, you know, the shedding of divinity happens. We forget who we are, and we just get caught up in more and more and more. A little bit of all of those things is okay. They propel you to do all right in life, right? A little bit of, you know, wanting things is fine, but our needs become wants, and then our wants make us needy. You know, who are kings? People who don't have wants, really. Santokh is the biggest. Contentment and santokh is what really makes you rich, makes you feel like a king. I don't have any more wants. It's not that my wants come to an end. My wants make me needy to want more, and this is what Babaji is talking about here. We take and we get embroiled in our own consumerism, and we get embroiled in greed and all the things that make life corrupt, and we lose the real meaning of who we are. The real meaning, the real joy, the biggest joy in life is giving, because it's a divine aspect, but giving unconditionally. But we are not capable of that. And that's what makes you tear up and say, wow, you know, how far do I have to go? I think I don't keep an account. I really am bad at keeping an account. I'm supposed to bill by the hours, you know, in the work that I do. I'm such a bad timekeeper. I don't overbill because I don't want to bill extra, because I don't want to earn what is not my due. So I'm a really bad timekeeper and a really bad accountant. I've never you know, matched up a checkbook or done any of that. But am I there where I can give unconditionally? No. Gurbani holds up a mirror to us, and that is the purpose of this amazing Bani, this jap to the soul, to the Ji, Japji. Wake up, you know. In another line in Guru Granth Sahib, Babaji says that within you, that force, that creative force, dwells like a mirror, darpan ki nyai. The thing is, we have to look into it, and that's how the consciousness is expanded, and we know that this is the work we have to do. Kete aganat nahi vichar, kete khap tute vikar, kete lala mukkar paye. And then there are those who will say, I did it. You know, somebody asked me during one of our talks that what is the difference between having confidence, right? Because in this world you need, modesty doesn't go a long ways in business. You have to be out there, you have to be selling yourself, you have to be saying how good you are, you know, for people to listen to you in the workforce. So what is the difference between having that confidence and having ego? Where is the fine line? You know, here is the fine line. The fine line is knowing that your gifts are there because of grace, because everything that Babaji has blessed you with. And the minute you start thinking that I'm doing this because I'm so great and I have done so well, and look what I've achieved, you know, that's where the fall comes. And that's why they say pride comes before a fall. Some of these proverbs that are going around, you know, they are really pithy and they have the essence of reality. So, lala mukkar pai, oh, what has God done for me? You know, it's so easy to complain. Where are you? You know, so many times, you know, in life when we are miserable, instead of even accepting that as a gift, we are so far away from it. Gurbani,
when something goes bad, we always talk about bhana manna, accepting his will.
Yes.
But when good things happen, we don't think of it as being his will.
No.
I think we've done them.
Absolutely.
We take good things for granted, and only when something goes wrong is when we think of it.
And that's the difference between confidence and ego. It's okay to say, yes, I can do this, but know in your heart that is a blessing, that is grace, that I would be nothing without grace.
I had a really harsh lesson on that, I think. I think you can hear me, right?
That's what.
Oh, so yeah, this thing you talk about, ego versus grace, right? I changed jobs about 6 years ago and got a promotion to director. And I went telling everybody, and not once did I stop and say, it was I had that notion that I achieved this, right? And 14 months later, that job didn't work out. I was miserable. I left, and I learned that lesson. The big lesson was I could see my ego really was big. It was big. And now, 5 years later, I got another promotion, but I can say it's from the grace of God. I mean, you can see
very
that
sweet,
anything given to you is,
Yeah. And so many people work hard.
Yeah.
So many people work hard. I always think of Flora, my housekeeper. My goodness, I mean, she's in her late 50s, I think, and she works so hard. And what does she get at the end of the day? So what?
Cheerful.
And she's always cheerful. And she, oh my God, I mean, you look at these people who have less, people who have less,
right.
They are more grateful.
Right.
They are more grateful. And there are also people I've noticed who have reached the apex, who have really reached amazing heights. They have realized that it's many of them, I've talked to them, they have realized that it's not their achievement. They will recognize, if they're honest, that look, I got this because I was there at the right time. And it was luck, it was destiny, it was a blessing. Really, truly people who have achieved greatness in any field, whether it is art, or it's business, or it's any form, music, they will realize that it's grace. It comes to them. It's an inspiration.
I think that's how it should be. I think there are a lot of people in those high positions who are actually very arrogant.
Yeah, but there are some. And that's what I said. Those who have achieved real greatness, true greatness. The greatest scientist of our lives, of this century, Einstein. He, after being the most brilliant mind, he said that it seems to me that I'm just playing with pebbles on the beach. I've learned nothing. So, but you know what? The vast majority of us, kete lala mukkar pa, who has done anything for me? We are so quick to complain. Why do I? Why me? I don't deserve this. Where is God? Kithe hai Rab? Dikhao mainu. Mainu te nahi lagda. Mainu te kuch nahi milya, Kete lala mukkar pae, kete mura khai khai. Again, a reference to our consumerism. So foolish, so acquisitive, continuing to pile up till our closets are ready to burst. Continuing to buy and buy and buy. And my goodness, the other day, honest to God, Gurjot got me this ring, and I got home, I'm thinking, oh my God, one more thing to take care of. And I should have just said no, but he was with me and he said, come on, get it, you like it so much. I'm done, I'm just thinking, who's going to take care of them? Who's going to value them? They're just going to be thrown around. They're things. What I want now are experiences, and this realization comes too late in life. We've wasted the bulk of it in gathering and consuming and not acknowledging many times. We are lucky. We are lucky if we feel gratitude. We are lucky if Babaji makes us feel with his grace that, it's you who are doing this.
And that spirit of gratitude is really the main secret of being happy.
Absolutely.
The source of happiness and gratitude.
Absolutely. So here is something that I thought of as I was reading this, that on the one side, Babaji tells us that Sandhya, Kharandhya, Pilandhya, Khavandhya, Viche Hove Mukt. Laugh, eat, drink, be merry, in all of this, you can be liberated, right? But on the other hand, he says, you have eaten, you have drunk, you have slept. What the hell have you done with your life? You wasted it. What is the difference? The The difference is consciousness. The difference is staying in tune with that reality. The difference is gratitude. The difference is acknowledging and knowing that it's grace. The difference is when you experience that grace, then you learn to give unconditionally and be compassionate and be forgiving and take on all those divine qualities that have made you the receiver, that has given so many gifts to you. And until you acknowledge that, until you feel rich inside from everything that you've gotten, your giving will be not unconditional. Kete lala murak pai, kete, where are we? Kete khap tute Vichaar, sorry, I lose the point. Kete murak khai khai, kete an dukh bhuk sadmar. You know, I remember Jagmohan Virji gave this talk once about what is dukh. And I remember he said that one of the dukhs is bhuk, this desire. That's what leads us to dukh, when desires are not fulfilled. There is the dukh of separation, which is a big dukh. Separation from the loved ones. But the biggest separation is from the loved one, the source. When you forget that, that's the dukh. Really, that is the dukh, because when you are tuned in, there is no dukh, because there is acceptance and surrender and saran and love and grace. But when there is bhuk, when there is desire, when there is this desire for more, and there is discontentment, that becomes the biggest dukh. Ketya dukh bhuk sadmar, and you're forever beaten by that. That they lash out at you, and you think that, you know, we think that these things, these desires are going to make us happy, but actually they make us more unsatisfied. Ichha purak sarab sukh data. How? Because the ichhas don't remain. You know, there is a line that says sarab sukh, that sukhanda data tadiya ichhama purya karda, your desires. How? By taking them away, by making you a king, because you are content. So here is a very interesting line that I thought about last night. That what does it mean? Dukh bhuk bhi odi daat hai, or ए भी दात तेरी दात are somebody that we recognize that everything is a blessing. You know, in literature, in poetic literature, there are bridge lines, there are bridge phrases that apply to this end and apply to that end, that are a crossover. This is that line, "E bhi daat teri daatar, band khalasi paane hoye." When you recognize that everything is a gift and everything, His hukam is the grace, that's when the shackles are broken. Let's look at that. I don't know if I'm making myself clear. E bhi daat teri daatar, this book. So one aspect is dukh book. Okay, e bhi daat hai. Don't know. I don't know. Not sure. But when you have that dukh, whether you, there is another line in Gurbani that says, "You make me a king, and that's your grace. You make me beg on the streets, and that's your grace too." But how many of us can accept that? You know, when you lose, how many of us can think that this is grace? So here, "E bhi daat teri daatar," the dukh is your grace, also your pana, but it connects it to the next line, that when you accept pana, when you accept that everything is grace, when you surrender and know that what my amazing creator, what my benefactor, what my great Vaheguru, who gives to those who are even ungrateful or who are corrupt and who's giving endlessly, if he's given me this, this is also for my betterment, for my growth. When I recognize that, then band khalasi pane hoye, then the shackles are broken. You were wanting to say something.
There's a somewhat related line that says, "Tum karo bhala, hum bhalo na jane, sada sada dayala." So even things that we think are not good, they're actually very good. We just don't know it half the time.
We just don't know it.
A different purpose.
It's like a parent who says no to a child, knowing that whatever the child is wanting is not good for them. And so that's why our prayer too, instead of being a long list of wants and needs and desires, it's like, "Babaji, if it is up to you, if you think it is good for me." I remember this, and I've quoted this over and over again, because this is an example of a little child who came to a camp we did a couple of years ago, and we talked about prayer and how a prayer should be asking Babaji for blessings, and if you want something, ask Babaji that if it's good for me, then let me have it. Because if it's not good for me, then I don't want it, right? So Indramohan Viji's sister's little son, he was probably 8 years old, so he goes, Babaji, I really, really, really want a Mac book, and please make my father get it for me if it is good for me. So if it is good for me, and the second one goes, Babaji, I really want to be famous if it is good for me. And then everyone started laughing. He goes, it's working. So children get it when you explain it to them, that sometimes mom and dad don't want you to get something that's not good for you because it's going to end up hurting you, and so they get it, but we forget. We say, मैं तो इन्ने अरदासां कीतियां, मैं तो इन्ने पाठ कीते, मैं तो अखंड पाठ भी नहीं रखवाया, तो मेरी तो गल नहीं सुनी बाबा जी ने, कित्थे है रब? We become ungrateful because we are jaded, and our greed and our desires are so endless, they corrupt us. But we have to become childlike again. Children are so happy with little things, and they remember the magic words of please and thank you. And I think we have to go back to that consciousness of being a child and forever saying thank you Babaji, thank you Babaji. And again, I remember a little incident with the child, and I think I've quoted it before. My girlfriend in India has taught her little grandchildren to always say shukr shukr. So they were going for a walk, and the older sister fell down, and the younger one says shukr shukr. So the grandma says, what are you doing shukr shukr for? She goes, she didn't die. She goes, she didn't get hurt. Shukr shukr Baba, she just fell, and she's fine. So children are amazing, and that's what we have to get back to, this shukr shukr in everything. Ketya dukh bhuk sadma ebhi da teri datar. Whatever you're giving me is for my good, and I want to thank you for it. Band khalasi pane, this is so beautiful. When we get into that consciousness, band khalasi, and jehde sare bandhan ne, all these bandhans of desires and wants and more and all of that, annadi khalasi, annada nibera, they will be broken when we come into that gratitude, that pana, that acceptance, that surrender, that awareness of grace that is forever around us. Band khalasi pane hoye, hor aakh na sake koi. Nobody can describe this amazing phenomena. Nobody can say anything about it. It's so indescribable, it's so beautiful, this whole process of what is happening. It's so amazing. Nobody can describe it, nobody can capture it, nobody can tell you what it is. And here Babaji is, through all these beautiful examples, holding a mirror up to us, telling us that you cannot describe it, you cannot understand it, you cannot fathom it. But you know what? Experience it. Experience the grace. Band hor aakh na sake koi, je ko khaye ko aakhan paye, o jane jetiya mukhaye. If somebody tries to nail it down, then they totally fail at it. Their follies will be visible. You cannot say it, and you cannot say, okay, this is it, I get it. No, you don't. You don't understand it. Aape jane aape de. This is what we have to understand. Okay, whatever the will is, whatever Guru wants for us, He's already given us. He's already given us. Every need, everything that is good for me, I already have it. And there are so many examples in nature. We're worrying about livelihood, we're worrying about our children. We commit crimes for them. Babaji says that for your children, to leave them a fortune, you compromise and sell your own soul. Eda nabera tere jeete hoega. You will have to pay for it. And that's what we do. Why? Because not only do we want ourselves to be comfortable, we want our kids to be comfortable. We want to leave a fortune for them. 65% of that will go to the government anyways. So hello.
May do them more harm than good.
Yeah, and then they become lazy. I've seen this over and over again. People who are really wealthy and children who have, an awareness, I'm going to get this big inheritance. They get lazy. and people who have less, their children have the drive to excel, to get somewhere in life. So these things, wealth and all these things that we are after, they actually end up being disablers. They become impediments in the way. They're not good for us. And that's why you have to say, Babaji, you know what is best for us. You've given me enough. If you want to give me more, then that's your grace, but give it only if I can use it positively for the good of humanity, for doing something that you will. Let me become a vehicle of your energy, of your force. Otherwise, what is there? I have enough already. Ape jane ape de aakhe se bhi kahi ke. So this is beautiful. Jisnu bakshe sift salaha. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. At the end of the day, Jisnu bakshe sift salah. When I get to that point where I say, wow, you are amazing, what have you done? If Vaheguruji makes me capable, if Vaheguruji gives me the blessing of praising Vaheguru, if I get this blessing that I'm singing the praises, then I'm a real king. Sift salah. That is being a real king. Jisnu bakshe sift salah, Nanak Padshahi Padsha. When there is contentment, when there is praise in the heart. So why do we praise Vaheguruji? O to vadda ve parvah hai, oda na katda na vadda. My praises are not going to enhance Vaheguruji. Gurbani tells us that. What are my praises going to do to me? They are going to chisel my own mind and make me aware, just like this verse makes us aware of our shortcomings, of where we are in the totem pole, how far we have to go, and how much effort is needed on a daily basis to cleanse ourselves of our own desires that actually end up hurting us. And I'm going to do that only when I'm aware of His greatness. This Bani, this verse just completely showed me, my God, look at the great giver and look at me. And then when contentment comes, that's when we become true kings, through His praise, through the awareness of His greatness. Not through more, not through asking for more or consuming more or piling more or leaving more for our children. So that is the karam of Vaheguru. That is the grace of Vaheguru. That is the great doer. That is the force that is generating in everyone and taking care of the ungrateful. Akirt kananu palda. That is the, somebody is mean and ungrateful. What do we want to do? We want to take them out. Revenge, resistance, anger, all of those things. But hote akirt kananu palda. Eh oda karam hai. Eh odi grace hai. And that's where in our journey, in this lifetime, we have to get there. That little spark, that little pilot light that is shining in us, that has to become a big, glowing, radiant, effulgent light. And then Jyoti Jyot Mile at the end of it all. That's when the lights will merge, not the way we are living our lives right now. And that's how Gurbani holds up a mirror to us. And every time I honestly discuss Japji Sahib with you, I'm so grateful to Veerji for telling me to do this.
Not to me, it's always Vaheguru's blessing.
Yes, of course. But to have this opportunity to really reflect upon it and share together and allow Bani to hold up a mirror to us. Not because God is going to be or Vaheguruji is going to be enhanced by our praises, but to cleanse ourselves and to measure ourselves and find ourselves where we are and knowing and saying, wow, thank you Babaji. Shukr. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.